Careful,
And
John. You're becoming a legitimate scientist.
my big failure, you know what actually got me on this, my big failure is this over the weekend I tried to hire some guys off of Craigslist. So because I got a little cocky, right? It's like, oh, one of my strengths is hiring people, so I need to hire people. I need to do more of that, right? So I thought I had some kind of magic. So I needed to get this like little recess built into my wall. I had this idea like, oh, I could put my gaming console, like my TV stuff. There's like this room behind, or there's space behind the wall where there's a staircase. So I could have someone knock that out and frame that in and make a little like hidden. Right. So it's like, oh, that'd be cool. And then I got these safe racks.
Oh, it gets better, Chuck. It gets much better.
Aptly named, they're called safe racks, right? From Costco that you hang from your garage, right? And I was like, in the past, I've always gotten gorilla racks in my garage, but they take up a lot of floor space. So I was like, oh, these hanging racks that you can put shit on, that's pretty awesome, right? So I was like, okay. So I put out 2 Craigslist ads. I put out one for, I took a picture of the wall and I like drew a little where I want the cutout and tried to explain it. Yeah. And then I did one and said, okay, I got these safe racks from Costco. It's pretty easy. Just hang it on the thing. Right. And so I got tons of people. Right. And so it's like, oh, I got tons of people. Right. So this one guy, he offers me $40 to install the racks in the garage. And I was like, you know how to get this installed? You've done this stuff before. He's like, yeah. And this is a pretty easy job, right? I just don't want to do it. And I don't have the tools. And it's like, you got the tools? Yeah. Okay. So he comes that, so I was like, okay, I'll take $40. Yeah, sure. That's a done deal. And, so he's on his way and he's supposed to be here and he's late and he texts me and he's like, ran out of gas.
Oh man.
So I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, I was going to do this for gas money. I figured I could pick up $40 for gas money. He's like, I'll be there in about an hour. So I was like, all right, the guy's not going to show up, but he shows up. Okay. So the dude shows up and he comes over. He looks like what I expected him to look like. And he, and he installs the which was some loser white dude, right? Like I didn't expect him to be like one of the guys, a Mexican guy hanging at Home Depot doing home repair. It just seemed like, I mean, because those guys don't run out of gas. They're smart enough to know that they got the job that they need to do, right? So anyway, he hangs up the thing. Like it takes him a really long time. The first thing I tell him, I was like, just make sure. I said, it's a pretty simple job. Just make sure that it's you put these in the studs. Obviously, you don't want to put it right into the drywall, right? Okay. So he's kind of done.
I'm waiting for the shoe to drop here,
or the ceiling. I'm waiting for the whole ceiling to drop.
Yes.
He comes to get me at one point, and he's like, "Oh, it's not going to fit in here." And I like look at the instructions. I'm like, it's pretty obvious. You just move that thing over a little bit. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess it will fit. I guess 8 feet. Yeah. Okay. So then he's done with the job. It takes he did one rack. He didn't do the other one. And he's like, so I felt bad for him. I was like, because it took him like 2.5 hours or something like that. And so I was like, look, dude, here's the thing. He's like, I got to go. I can come back Monday. I was like, look, I said, I'll pay you $40 for the one rack and I'll pay you $40 for the other because, I feel bad. Like this job is worth more. Like I can't give you $40 for both.
I'd have paid him the extra 40 to tell him not to come back.
well, there was nothing really wrong at this point. He did an okay job, right?
All right.
So I'm loading up. My wife is with me. We're like, oh, we can finally load up all the Christmas stuff. And the first thing she says to me, she's like, okay, be careful with this one because this one's got all my precious ornaments and stuff in it. I'm like, she's worried that I'm pushing it too far to the edge. It's like, no, it's not going to fall off of the edge. Like there's,
right.
If you can imagine that. So I put all the stuff up here, probably maybe 200 pounds worth of stuff. I've got it all up there. I go to the edge of one of them and I noticed that it's not like clipped in all the way. Like it's got those, if you've seen the gorilla racks where it's got the 2 little, things and you got to, so I kind of pull a little bit and then I pull a little bit harder and boom, like my cat-like reflexes. I'm like, you know, and I'm like Atlas, right, holding up, and I'm like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? Like this whole fucking thing is above me. It is falling. Right, my wife runs under and she goes to lift it up, and I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here!" And, you know, it's like freaking heavy, right?
We're gonna die.
So is this how I end? Do I get crushed by fucking Christmas ornaments? Right? So I'm like, all right, I'm going on 3. 1, 2, 3. And I jump out of the way, and the whole fucking thing comes crashing down, and the ornaments break.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, he didn't put it in the fucking. He drilled these fucking like 3. There must have been 5-inch bolts into drywall. What the hell? Like, you know, what job? Like, how could you even think that would hold? Right? Like and it's not like you can make them, like, you know, the difference between drilling into wood and drywall. Like, there's no way, right? So
yeah, apparently this guy didn't.
You're making a lot of assumptions, John.
No, I guarantee you that, like, I mean,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's not an honest mistake, right? I'm like, you know, you did a shit job. So I texted him. I taking pictures of the thing. I'm like, the whole fucking thing fell on my head. What the fuck, dude? Right? And he just, no response, right? No, of course. I'm like, obviously, don't come back. So
wow.
So then I gotta tell you later, the guy, I have another guy that I get all these bids for, like, oh, I can do the, you know, the cutout for you for the entertainment center and stuff. I picked this one guy. He's like, I can do it for, I think he said 150 or $200. Seemed a little low, but I was like, all right, you know, whatever. I didn't vet any of these guys out, right? So this is
Right.
my mistake journal, because this is not how I recommend hiring people. We talk about that a lot, and I did not do what I said. I didn't even ask one fucking relevant question, right? So anyway, this guy shows up, or no, he's supposed to show up. All these other people, I'm telling them, oh no, I've got a guy coming, right? And he finally shows up at like 8 o'clock at night or something, right? And he's like, oh, my friend didn't come. He has my tools. So he comes into my house. He's got a pencil, one of those, you know, marking pencils. Yeah. He's got a claw hammer, and he's got a box cutter. And I'm like, what the? So he goes over to the wall. He's like, this wall, and you know, and he just like, he starts writing on the freaking wall. Both me and my wife are standing there like, what the hell, dude? Like, he's like, how big do you want it? I was like, well, let's talk about this. He's like, okay, yeah, okay. I was like, no, let's like, I kind of want your help to figure this out. Like, where do we want to center? And he's like, oh, okay, oh, I see. I said, yeah. And then he's like, he starts cutting the wall, right? And then he's like, he cuts down the thing. He's like, you got some newspapers or something to put down? He's like, nah, it's all right. And so he's cutting all this shit. He doesn't prep the place. He's using the box cutter to cut through the drywall. And then there's like some plywood behind it, right behind the wall where the stair casing is. And he takes the claw hammer, and he uses the back of the claw hammer, and he hacks at the, right? I'm not a handyman, but I know what a sawzall is, right? And I know that I would probably use that to cut neatly through the, right? And so, so he's like, okay, I'll come back tomorrow. And then I'm like, oh, and you got to move the electrical outlets. He's like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, that was in the job, right? That's what I said it in the job. He's like, I don't do electrical, bro. And I it's like I'm an honest guy. I don't want to tell you, like, some people come in here and they're like, oh fuck, I'll do electrical and shit, and they don't know what they're doing. I'm like, I'm not gonna bullshit you, bro. So I'm like, all right, that's fine, like, but he's like, but I got an electrician. So I was like, okay, all right. So he's like, okay, I'll come back tomorrow at 1 p.m. and I'll bring my electrician. So 1 p.m. rolls around, right? Nothing, not a text, nothing. And then, I call him up, or I text him. Basically around like 4 or 5 o'clock, he's basically not answering. Finally, he's like, I couldn't find an electrician. Oh, and I gave him $60 for materials, right? And then, so it ends up basically, I finally found these guys that I hired to do it. He actually got pissed off at me. He was like, what, you know, when I canceled the job on him, I was like, don't bother to show up. And I've given him $60 and he's like, what about the materials I bought? What about the time I spent? And I was like, you put a fucking, you claw hammered a fucking hole in my wall and I give you $60. Like, get the fuck out of here. Right? Ridiculous. So I got these other guys, like I vetted them out, and you know, I figured I finally got
Job
smart.
one,
Right?
come fix the shit that these other assholes did.
Oh,
to you.
and they're making fun of me. They're like, "What the hell? What did this guy do? What did he do?" You know?
What did he fucking claw hammer at the stairs or something? Yes.
So
my
yeah, I
gosh.
found these other guys, and you know, I asked them a bunch of questions. You know, saw their examples of their work and stuff, and I figured all I have to do is hire the guy to do the drywall, right, and the framing. Because if I find that guy, I can just say, hey, what will you charge to? I know he can install racks in a garage, right? I was like,
Right.
so if I find a guy that's skilled enough to do that, which is what I did. So then I, you know, these guys,
I feel
Figure out where the wood is in the wall.
yeah,
There
these
might
two
be-
brothers.
There might be an email in this somewhere. at
There
some-
is. There absolutely.
There has to be.
This is gold.
But the guys I got now, they're pretty solid. They did the racks
John, if
already.
we-
Like I
if we
did
do the
pull-ups off
fra-
the racks.
If we do the Freedom Journal, I think that will be the sales letter right there.
Yeah,
Or sorry,
mistake
not the,
journal?
the mistake journal. Yeah.
The fail journal.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I was like, oh, I got to capture this goal because I'd like, and I was feeling bad, and this is what made me think that this is actually a really good idea because you can imagine after that I was feeling like shit, right?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, not only have I blown $100, right, giving like these jackasses this money, but I have freaking holes in my ceiling. Shit is coming down. Like the racks are like, I didn't even touch them. They're coming down. There's broken shit on the floor. There's a fucking hole in the wall that, you know, right? I'm like, this was supposed to be a productive day. Now I got to actually.
Oh man.
So I was feeling pretty bad. But then when I did the journaling the next day and I wrote down the mistakes and what I learned from them, then I actually felt good. Then I was like, oh, wait a minute. You know what? That experience was actually a really good experience because I learned a lot. I really did learn a lot from that. And it was good that it happened because that actually that led me to these guys that I found that will do a quality job and are doing a quality job, and I can hire them for other jobs. And now I've got reliable people and I understand.
Yeah.
And I realized, you know, a few different things, like not to rush, to ask the question, you know, to all these kind of things that I was making mistakes. So I think it might be a good idea to have like a failure journal, right?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean,